Hello. Let me know if everything works. It should, I think. But you never know. This was set up in like no, set up in like 10 seconds. So fuck this. Let me quickly do this. I think I'm good. Works? Nice. Good. Good to hear. How are you guys doing? I drove 240 on the Autobahn just to make it here on time, and then I did not get a proper parking spot, which is a bummer, but is what it is. So that was that. But I mean, 15 minutes late is what it is. That works. It's not the worst in the world. I've done worse, I think. Actually, might not, but what car are you driving, Don? I'm just renting stuff. I rent stuff and then I drive it and then I usually give it back pretty soon after. Top of the morning to you, Don. Where are you from, bro? It's middle of the night here, but yeah. Blocking scammers that pretend to be you on Twitter. That's how I'm doing. Yeah, that's a full-time job, brother. Should have driven faster. There's almost there's only so much you can do, brother. There's only so much you can do. I'm quite tired. It's been a long day. I actually met Cred. Has been the first time in a long time actually that we've met. But yeah, he's been in Germany, so I went to visit and spent the last 2 days together, which is cool. But yeah, let's get this thing rolling. Before I start, shout out to FTX. They sponsor the show. They do all kinds of stuff, all kinds of cool stuff. They have the best mobile app in the game, in my opinion. You should go check that out. And yeah, their links are in the description. Go over there, support them. They support us. So yeah, they're pretty cool in my book. Don hates Sol nowadays. No, I'm not a hater at all. It's just I think you're talking about the tweet that I sent out like a couple hours ago, and I'm not hating on any of the projects. I'm just saying they're old, and old stuff doesn't pump. The old stuff has back holders, and it's gonna pump, but it's gonna pump less than new stuff will. It's just how it goes always. So if you're holding Sol, I mean, it's gonna go up probably at some point. It's gonna go up much less than new stuff, but it's what it is, right? It's still, I mean, even Bitcoin Cash I think did like a 5x or something during the last bull market. Bitcoin outperformed it. Good chance that will happen too for a lot of these coins that I've mentioned. Sol still to 250. I mean, I have no Sol position, so I really don't care. Right now, Sol looks more like 15 than 250 to me, though. And if you compare it to Litecoin USD, right? Let's remove all of these because fuck the drawings. This was last bull market. Like this was the 2017 bull market. This was last bull market. So Solana might do this too, right? Go somewhere down here and then top out at like 130, 170 next cycle, while a bunch of shit makes new all-time high. I think that would make sense. And it's the same for almost all the coins, really. Still bullish on Cake and XRP. I sold all of it. I mean, it's been a while that I sold it. I don't know how to update every single thing. But I did update those like a week ago, even, or 2 weeks ago. It's been a while. Anyway, I don't have any position right now. Overall, I think a bunch of stuff does look okay. That's one thing. But yeah, it's not like Bitcoin is at 19.2K and it's been there for too long for me to make a bet on altcoins anymore. It's just the moment this moves to the up or downside, I think altcoin Bitcoin pairs are gonna get wrecked, which means like if you want to bet on Bitcoin upside, you just want to bet on Bitcoin. And if you want to bet on Bitcoin downside, you definitely don't want to be betting on altcoins, right? So I think altcoins will suffer regardless of what happens. It's a shit situation. But in these kind of circumstances, this is usually what happens. How's your XRP position? I closed that. Sold that. I mean, I'm updating that. Like I've been updating all my positions live on Twitter, or like not live, but recently, or like at least like right after I'm doing something, at least like a day or something. Charting the Dino coin again. What was I charting? Litecoin. Yeah, just to make the comparison between Litecoin and the new coins, because that's how the new coins are gonna look like. Almost doesn't really matter what you're trading, in my opinion. Still holding Bitcoin? Nope. When I say I don't have a position, I don't have a position. I don't hold anything right now. I bought Bitcoin, it pumped, I sold it, and just gonna chill. So let's run through the time frames, so I don't have to do like the position thingy. But trust me when I say I don't have a position right now in anything. That includes Bitcoin, it includes ETH, includes Sol, XRP, all that kind of stuff. When I say no position, I mean no position. On the monthly, still kind of meh. Still really, really struggling with the prior cycle high. And I don't really think it makes much sense to be bullish unless we trade above there. That's the minimum it has to do. And it's very, very close. So it makes sense to wait for that, right? Your bottom buys are not going to be different. 19.2 or 20K makes zero difference in the grand scheme of things, right? So that's the first thing that we want to see. And then on the weekly time frame, we've been struggling. This is the saddest thing ever, honestly. And I've got a few more sad things to show you guys, but this is the saddest thing ever. We've been struggling with support, right? So when you have a box like this, it's supposed to be support, and it's been, right? So it's been support here and it's been support here. But on this recent move, the bottom of the box has been support and the top has been resistance, which is just sad to see, right? When that happens, I usually just wait until at least you get one or two bullish arguments somewhere else. So far I haven't gotten any. If you want to make a case for this reversing course, I think it makes a lot of sense to wait for 20.7K to be broken. So monthly close above 20K would be a good first sign. Second sign, or doesn't really matter which way, right? Another good sign would be 21 being broken through, or like this box anyway. If we trade above there, we're good to go. At least a little bit higher. Then I can make a good argument, like you have your stop loss somewhere there, and you trade the expansion to the upside. But right now, it doesn't look like it. It's not really pretty. The S&P doesn't look like it. Not really pretty either. So, and the relative strength hasn't really been there. Today it's been a little bit better than the last few days. The S&P has been going down, but just compare this on the lower time frames. The S&P here, Bitcoin here. This is the high, right? And you can always, when I'm like above these, you can see where we're like at respectively. And Bitcoin made a high here, which was the high on the S&P as well. And basically, like you can see that this was the high here. Oh, that's actually not true. Wait. So we had this was the high. So we had the S&P here make a high, and then we broke it, right? So this is a high. Bitcoin made a lower high, and obviously this is low time frame, but it's been a story of significant weakness, especially like look at this. This is where basically the move originated from, right? This area. Bitcoin's right back at it. The S&P is much above it. So this is just significant relative weakness. Kind of feels like it did before 30K broke down. Now, it doesn't have to repeat, obviously, but when I'm saying I'd rather trade the S&P over Bitcoin or over crypto, then it's pretty bad, right? So that's the situation we're in right now. If you're buying, and you're buying, if you're buying in general, you're basically trading the S&P. When you're trading crypto or Bitcoin specifically, but the other coins are on average even worse, then you're just buying the weaker S&P. So you buy something, even if the S&P and Bitcoin goes up, you're probably going to be underperforming the traditional markets. At some point that's going to change, but until it does change, it doesn't really make much sense to bet on it. And when you see that kind of relative weakness, it's not a good look. And the S&P is still struggling with resistance, right? So hit support, this is resistance, could go sideways in here. I saw a Gainsey tweet, which I actually find quite good. He said max pain would be kind of ranging in here, while like for the S&P, and then showing massive weakness in crypto or actually breaking down, which I think is actually a possibility right now. So yeah, for me, there's really not that much to do. And I hate to say this again, I said it last week. We haven't really, price hasn't changed at all. So it's just not a good look. No boring me sad, yeah. I think you guys can tell that it's just not, like I'm not excited either. This is just kind of shitty. So Don, so do you think Sol weekly support will be broken? We'll talk about it in a second, but yes, is my short answer. At what Bitcoin value will you spot buy a ton of it? If it just giga nuke to 14, 12K, sure. Right now, the longer it grinds on this, the lower my bits will be. I've talked about 16, 17K, right, before. This was my area of interest before, just here. Basically, when we're back here in the consolidation, because I was hoping that would break soon. But the moment, like the longer this goes, the lower my target will be. And then, so right now, I'm kind of more conservative, pushing it to 16 to 14-ish, maybe 12. I don't think that's going to be hit, but we'll see. And if it keeps on going here, I'll keep lowering my targets. So the earlier this breaks down, the better for me anyway, I think. Because if this is a distribution range again at 20K, which we've had before, right? We're distributing here at 40K, 30 to 40K. We're distributing here around 60K, did that before as well. So just went sideways, basically. Those moves have been extensive, to say the least. And the longer this goes, the worse it's going to get. Thoughts on Aptos? Zero. I just seems like a money grab to me. But I have no idea. I'm not a tech kind of guy. But the whole thing just is not well executed. Such a weak market, indeed. I mean, hopefully it just surprises us and gives us like a 2K candle upwards. And I think if you get something like that, just complete surprise, 2K candle upwards, while the S&P does nothing, you could get another one to like 33K-ish. Like, you just need momentum here, but it doesn't feel like that's gonna happen, right? No one's bold enough, and even the people that would be bold enough, I don't think they don't have enough money yet anymore, or just not the balls to do it, especially not when the S&P is weak, right? When you see the S&P be in an interesting area, I could see people just be brave and pump this shit to kind of make people fall more in. But when the S&P is this weak, and it's not been like, this is not a good look, right? You can see this is resistance here, but this is not a good look when it keeps on breaking down. Then people are going to be less likely to just risk it, right? Because if you try to pump the market and someone uses you as exit liquidity, it's just kind of fucked. So you need backup from the S&P or lower prices, in my opinion. And the backup from the S&P or traditional markets in general doesn't seem too likely to me anyway. It's at resistance right now, so I don't have high hopes. So don't really have high hopes for Bitcoin either, especially when it's weaker than the traditional markets. Do we need the war situation to end to get a probable market again? Probably, honestly, probably. Don, are you still doing shred with cred? No. I climb a lot, So I've been climbing every second day for the last few weeks, and been doing a bunch of yoga. Actually, my girlfriend keeps dragging me to yoga, but it's actually quite fun. As stupid as that sounds, but yeah, that's been me. And then I'm gonna go surfing next month. So that's been my training routine. Not really been doing any weightlifting. I'm more of an endurance kind of guy anyway. I like to go for runs, go for bike rides, go for swims, all that kind of stuff. You really think Sol can pull off a EOS Litecoin, like just a heavy bag within the next cycle? I reckon you would only accumulate Bitcoin, ETH, and BNB FTT within the bear. I would not accumulate anything during the bear. I'd rather not buy when a bear. I mean, unless it giga nukes. But I'm not accumulating anything. I find that it's one of the worst things to do to buy, like to accumulate whatever during a bear. We can talk about this for a second. And I'm gonna use Neo because I think Neo is very similar to Sol and to a lot of the new ones that have hype, right? So let's say you want to accumulate during a bear market, and you're a wise investor. You saw the top coming. It's at 200, which makes sense. It's cool. It goes down 80%, right? And you're like, okay, it's down 80%. This has to be somewhat close to the bottom, so I'm going to start buying, right? So you buy here, you start buying here. Maybe you even sold at 200. You start buying here, you DCA, you DCA, you DCA, you DCA, whatever. It moves and moves and moves. Those buys at the start, right? The stuff that you've been accumulating goes down another 86%. Those first buys are fucking worthless. It went to pretty much zero at the bottom of this. And then even if you accumulated this thing, you were sitting in that position, right? Even if you bought the bottom, you're sitting in this position for a full year without it bouncing from the bottom. And then a miracle bear market, it's actually more than that. Wow. So it's 500 days. You're sitting there with your buys being worth zero, right? You've accumulated this thing, all your buys are worth zero. And you're kind of just hating life. There's a good chance that you can capitulate this anyway. And then there's a miracle bull run that takes it back to 150. Probably didn't sell either at that point. And now it's back at 7, right? So you accumulated this thing, and basically your lowest buy is exactly the price where it's at right now after the biggest bull run that we've had. It's just shit. You don't want to do it. What you want to be doing, right? You look at this chart and you're like, this is completely broken. I don't want to have anything to do with it. And then once it actually provides you with a structure and the entire market looks better, right? So, I mean, you can even look at it on the monthly time frame, but let's go with the weekly. You look at this thing, it's putting in a range, whatever. The entire market starts breaking out, and then you want to start accumulating it, because sitting in this thing for 2 years, it's just gonna rip your soul out. So you have this area here, right? So it's basically before the big breakdown, acts at resistance, comes back, breaks it, acts as support, and then you can trade this thing from, and it looks like this is a tiny move, right? But 24 or whatever to 150 is so much more comfy, right? This move where you 4x your capital, so much more comfy than sitting in this shit down here. And obviously when it breaks, right? When it breaks really low and you kind of see, okay, it's capitulating, you can buy this shit. But you could have bought anything really. Like accumulating altcoins especially is just so fucking, is never gonna, almost never a good play. There's some hero plays. Sometimes people buy something accumulated over a bunch of months and it goes up 100x, but that's not from TA. Your TA does shit there. It's from you understanding the coin, right? And yeah, I think Solana can do the exact same thing that Neo did. Just go sideways for 600 days or whatever, and not even go back to all-time high. That's kind of this accumulation thing. Every time I see it, it's just people trying to justify their DCAing into an asset that is basically worthless, and that will go down another 90%. So yeah, I will not accumulate anything during the bear market, not even Bitcoin, unless I get like a technical setup for it. But even like the accumulation thing is just kind of odd to me. You can buy it, right? It's not like any of you have problems with liquidity, right? So if you're bullish on this thing, if I'm bullish on Bitcoin, I'm gonna buy it. I'm not gonna be sitting here being like, okay, I'm gonna buy 1% today, 1% tomorrow, and then I'll just keep on buying. You don't have any problem buying, right? If this thing looks bullish and makes sense for you to go up, you just buy it. If you're a big guy, right? If you're sailor and you're accumulating Bitcoin, and it's something else because you can actually move the market with your buys, right? And you don't want to be the guy that just moves the market up 100% and then gets dumped on because you spent all your money on that one clip, or like that moves up the market 200%. It's kind of what Sailor did, honestly, but you don't want to be that guy, right? So if you have problems with liquidity, be sure to accumulate if you want to, but if you don't, you can. That's the cool thing about knowing a little bit about trading, right? You can be pretty nimble and you can be pretty quick. In my opinion, anyway. There's other opinions. It's just my honest opinion. You're not gonna see me accumulate a coin and then keep buying while it goes lower. The only one that I'm honestly on board with is Bitcoin, and that's taken a while. So that's Bitcoin. So rather buy Sol above 70 when it has some bullish structure and meanwhile focus on majors and new shiny cycle stuff? Yes. Or in general, just don't buy Sol, I guess. I mean, there's a setup there, but you can trade that setup, but it's not really one where, like, the only reason, like, Sol excites me, right? And the reason why is because I know that there's a bunch of bigger guys waiting to snag it up the moment it nukes, and then it's going to have the biggest bounce or the quickest bounce of a lot of things. And I'm going to mercilessly sell into that bounce. If I have no idea what I'm going to do because I don't see a narrative on other coins or I don't see anything new, maybe I'll buy Solana, right? But that's kind of how my mind works. So if this nukes to 15 and I see the entire crypto market bottoming-ish, Solana is probably going to be one of the coins that I buy, but there's a good chance that I'm going to sell it at 25 again and then trade something else that's much more exciting, because Solana is going to have the first bounce because people still know it, but then other things will have a narrative and will just play better. So what you're saying is that at face value, we're incredibly fucked. Not necessarily. I mean, this has already been a bear market, right? So Bitcoin's already down 70%. Last bear market, we went down 84. That's quite a bit. That would take us to 10K-ish. But that's if it plays out the same way. It doesn't have to, obviously, but that's only 50% move. So if you buy now, at least not all your money is gone, right? If you bought at 70K, at the bottom, there's pretty much nothing left of what you put in. So are we incredibly fucked? Not really. Am I excited about all of this? No. Sol was this week on this rally. Maybe things like Atom, which shows some form of strength, would be a better play for bounce. I agree, actually. Atom, like there's gonna be a play there. Atom still looks interesting to me. Had a bounce from the support we talked about, but looks quite weak. And like I said, I think the Bitcoin pairs in general are gonna suffer no matter what Bitcoin does. If it goes up, if it goes down, both will not do kind things to altcoin Bitcoin pairs. And sideways, honestly, with the chop, right now, people just don't want to speculate on altcoins. People are scared, which makes me think if you don't have a narrative on an altcoin, it's not really an interesting one. Probably going to go down. So sideways, Bitcoin, if the coin has no narrative, the altcoin will go down, right? Bitcoin up, the altcoin might still say sideways because the Bitcoin pair is going to go down. and then Bitcoin goes down, right? So like option number 1 is this, Bitcoin sideways, altcoins can easily go down. Option 2 is this, Bitcoin up, altcoins against USD go sideways, go against Bitcoin go down. Option 3, Bitcoin goes down, altcoins go down doubly. That's kind of what I think right now. Like, so no matter what, in my mind, altcoin Bitcoin pairs are gonna get fucked. Could be wrong on this. I'm not betting per se because I'm not really shorting anymore, but I definitely do not want to be buying anything that doesn't have a narrative, and almost nothing has a narrative right now. There's going to be narratives again, and there's going to be altcoins are going to perform really well when Bitcoin has bottomed and has actually like put in some work. So you see a 20-30% Bitcoin pump, excuse me. There's going to be altcoins that are going to be interesting off of that pump, and they're going to outperform Bitcoin by way more. But on that way, you're probably going to suffer as an altcoin holder. Does the market nuke if Putin launches the nukes? I mean, don't think the market at that point would be your main concern, so it doesn't really matter. Bitcoin is more correlated with US 2000 than the S&P 500. Doesn't really matter. It's all the same. Whether there's a little bit of a closer correlation or not, zero, it doesn't really matter. It's about the strength of the markets in general, and the S&P works just fine for that. And it's one of the cleaner ones TA-wise, so why the fuck not use it? Even ETH-BTC, yeah, ETH-BTC kind of been struggling. This support's been used so much and it's leaning down, so I think even ETH-BTC is probably gonna break down. In general, I think ETH-BTC is gonna head up. Like this is I can FUD all of these, right? I still have a grand plan or like a grand vision or whatever you wanna call it. I think ETH-BTC is gonna go up in general, but it can go down first, right? So like this could easily go down here, which is horrendous for any altcoin holder, because that would be like almost a 50% nuke, but it would still be in line with like the longer term direction of the market. So to answer your question, I'm not holding any ETH, and I would not. Can it go up regardless? Of course. There's a bunch of ways for this to turn around, right? The reason why I'm so negative is not necessarily because I'm super bearish. I am a little bit bearish, but I'm not like super bearish. Because stuff is still at support, right? We talk about Bitcoin. I said it's a support that's been tested and support that kind of is a resisting price right now, but it's still high time frame support. Same is true for ETH-USD, right? But you cannot trade this anymore. There's support, you test it once, you get like a nice buy in, it comes up, nice, right? But with this kind of stuff, this support has turned into range. I showed you Bitcoin, it's the same on ETH, where 1.35 is resistance and 1.24 is support, right? And we're just doing this. And there's no trade there. This could go either way. Right now, I think makes more sense to go down because we're trading below the all-time high of 2018, right? It was actually in 2018, January of it. So as long as we're trading below there, I think you kind of have to be a little bit cautious. This is the all-time high. It's not too far away, right? Whether you buy or ETH at 1.3K or 1.45, zero difference in the grand scheme of things. But this is at least the first step. Until we reclaim this, I'm not even gonna argue like that this is bullish, because it makes no sense to me. That should have held. This test should have been the bottom. Obviously, merge related, all that kind of stuff. I get it, but still, TA wise, it just looks pretty shit. It's at an area where it needs to hold, and it's barely holding. So already bid 15 Sol. I mean, 15 Sol isn't the worst bid. I don't have any bids there right now. I want to see how the market gets to where it wants to go. But if I wanted to place an AFK bid, Sol at 15, so sounds kind of nice. ADA lost support. Let's talk about it. yeah, ADA been strong. Against Bitcoin is kind of bleeding. Against, oh shit, does that look bad? Holy fuck. What the fuck? Against USD that looks horrendous. It's a little bit better zoomed out, but yeah, that's a nice chart. Well, it's cool to be an altcoin holder, huh? So basically, we had a ginormous bubble. It broke down, it went sideways, it's breaking support right now. Yeah, that looks kind of shitty. There's a cool setup now though. And I hate ADA, I think it's garbage and I don't like the people involved at all. I don't like Charles. But there's a play to be made. So you have like the range. Oh, and people are going to hate me again for this, whatever. I'm going to make a bullish argument for it. Like roughly, it's a really ugly range. It's just do support box to do it a little bit more justice. But so we have this. Obviously started here from the left, but let's ignore this because it's not clean. This is clean enough. So we have this kind of low here. Was tested as support, and this on this chart you can really see what I'm talking about and why right now, like when I'm looking at the Bitcoin daily chart, I'm just like not too excited because you have these tests of the same area over and over and over again, and usually they fail, right? This is like 8 tests. Bitcoin does the same. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. It's the same, right? So could obviously play out different than Bitcoin did, but than ADA did. So Bitcoin could play out different, but oftentimes this is the case, right? So we had a bunch of tests of 0.4-ish, that area, and then it broke to the downside. Looks horrendous. This is a range of 150 days, right? If you're bullish after a range break like that, I mean, it's your loss because usually when they go sideways this long and start breaking, that's trend forming. So you'd expect it to just keep on going, right? You'd expect it to go lower, 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 lower. But if it manages to reclaim that support, there is a possibility that you get like a small echo bubble thing to the next resistance, right? So in that case, it starts looking much better again, which is really cool when you have these breakdowns, right? You can say, hey, this looks like it's going to 0. It's probably going to go to 0, but it just needs to do this, and I'm going to get involved again. But yeah, right now, this shit looks like it's going to 0. And yeah, start. I don't like this is just a grotesque chart, really. Everyone that bought this during the bull market just got completely rinsed. The play is to pretend ADA doesn't exist. Yeah. Enzo says, what the fuck, lol. Yeah, it's a tough chart. It's a really tough chart. What is your 12 to 14K support level for ETH? Like if someone asked that. So 12 to 14K, right, and this is how I usually do this. Let's say this breaks down and goes towards support, which is down 30%-ish. You could bet on ETH BTC going down like the same amount roughly, or like 20%, maybe down here to this line. Obviously it's on log, but still like maybe down here, or like 15 to 20%. So you just you look at it, you said Bitcoin is going to move down 30%, right? So how much is that going to be on ETH? Roughly at 800 plus the 10-20%-ish. I mean, I know that this is not how you add percentages, but it still works roughly. It's kind of like in the 700 area, 700, 600, somewhere like that. So basically half, which makes sense to me. If it does break down. Like I said, it doesn't have to break down. I don't want to bear tart people into shorting support. I just don't have a bullish setup. I want to be buying, but I just cannot. This is not something I can buy. I tried it a couple times now, made money on every single one, but make less money on every single time I bought it, right? Which should tell you something. Because every single time it's been getting harder and harder to squeeze something out of this market. And the opportunity is going away. Not, okay, it's growing. Like every single time I buy the support, I get a bigger bounce somewhere or more money to be made. No, it's less and less. So I'm just not too excited. And when I'm not excited, I'm not buying. I'm not shorting anything though. Can you talk about XRP? Same story really. Like I think this is gonna go up, but it's gonna struggle if Bitcoin breaks down. And I talked about this before. I think 0.38 is an area of interest, but if Bitcoin really properly breaks down and ETH goes down 50%, I could see XRP go all the way back to 0.3. In which case I would buy it again. I will be buying XRP. The moment I think that's the one coin besides maybe Solana that I will try to bottom snipe and then hold for a while. Not forever. I think at some point XRP is going to zero, but for long enough. So yeah, but TA wise failed the breakout, which I'm kind of glad about because honestly, I mean I sold this at 0.5 ish, and then it went to 0.55, and I was like, oh, I could be angry about the sell, but I sold it because Bitcoin just looked like shit and the S&P closed below support. And now it's lower and it's broken back below this area that it reclaimed, which is usually a bad sign. So if I want to be buying XRP again, if the market doesn't collapse, 0.38 is an area of interest. And if the market does collapse, range low makes sense. So either or, I'll think about it once we get there, if we get there. Picture of you and Cred. I don't think we took a single picture actually, but you'd have to ask him. Why long XRP when you can long Link? Because XRP has a better narrative, in my opinion. So, at what point do you say the crypto experiment is over? I'm not the biggest crypto fan in general, just based on our track record, right? With every single year that passes, I get less and less excited about it because all we seem to be doing, and I'm very cynical like that, but all we seem to be doing is inventing better ways to scam people, more official ways, more legal ways. Back in the day, it was pump and dumps and kind of like, hey, we're all gonna buy one coin. This is how groups and stuff worked back in 2016, 17. They're like, okay, we're gonna all buy this coin at the same time, and then other people will buy it too because they think it's gonna go to the moon, and then we sell into this. Like that's how it started, right? And obviously started different way earlier, where they just kind of made new coins that were garbage and sold as like the best thing ever. But there's been like a few scams along the way, but they keep getting more sophisticated, and that's the only thing that I've really been seeing that works, right, on a large scale. Scamming in crypto works perfectly well and it's perfectly scalable. Everything else doesn't seem to be, which is quite sad. So failed experiment, I think below 10K. I don't think we're gonna go there at all, but I'm getting more and more I'm just like, this is kind of shit. It's a little bit frustrating when you see the same playbook repeat over and over and over again over 3 different cycles, and retail gets the short end of the stick every single time. Because at the end of the day, right? So what happens basically, what the big promise of crypto is that the big banks and the big government and whatever cannot exploit you anymore, which is all well and cool, but then you get exploited by a bunch of other people in the space, which is probably even worse. They buy like new villas and new yachts and whatever with your money. And they do it without any consumer protection because we're obviously against that, because it's the whole point of crypto. So basically you have the same thing as in the traditional markets, which is a market where the bigger fish prey on you and then you have less regulations and less laws to kind of at least prevent some of that. So you're just gonna have the worst of both worlds, which is really cool. Good to trade. I'm not complaining too much, but from like an outside, like if I put myself in someone else's shoes, just seems like a giant scam to me. Which is fair enough, is what it is. Still the best casino in the world. So I'll keep playing as long as I can make money in it. So yeah, that's that. It's a little bit of a cynical take. I'm a little bit of a cynical person sometimes. Still think there's gonna be price increases. I'm not saying it's all going to zero, but every single cycle just kind of makes me more negative on crypto. In 2017 was just white papers though, actual use cases developed in the last year or two. Yeah, maybe there's going to be in 5 years, I'm going to be like, how could I have ever doubted this? And I think there's going to be cryptos. There's going to be a shitload of cryptos that probably are really, really cool down the line. It's just the stuff that we have now is probably going to go to zero as well. And then the generation after it is probably going to go to zero as well. And at some point, there's going to be something that sticks. And then there you go. And just because something works in crypto doesn't mean the token has to have any value anyway. So yeah, that's that. Hate to be the negative Nancy. I'm not that negative, but yeah. Anything else? I don't think so. Like altcoins, there's a few that are going up, there's a few that are going down. There's nothing really interesting. The interesting bit is the S&P. If that comes up, right, if this breaks resistance this month, I'll change my view 180 degrees, right? The moment I have the S&P on my side again, I'm more than happy to be just bidding crypto. Because at that point, you can squeeze people, you can do all kinds of fun things. As long as we have this resistance in our way and kind of the S&P weakness, I don't feel too comfortable. Because I want to be able to exit into strength, and I don't want to have to exit into weakness. So this is kind of my line in the sand. As long as we're trading below here, I will not be too aggressive. It's just what it is. And that's not a tall ask. We're exactly at that resistance, right? So yeah, I want to see how this month closes. Just 12 more days. Then I'm going to be on holiday for 1 month. So I hope the market doesn't run away from me. And then going into December, I want to see if there's any trades. But until then, I'm probably not going to do too much, because even if I take a trade right now, if I see something cool, right, and there might be, I'll only have 12 days, because I don't want to be taking all my setup and everything to Asia. It doesn't make much sense. So for me, personally, there's not going to be too much to trade. What do you think of Tesla? They hold or sell? They sold. I mean, they made that public. They sold. They sold break even. Could shut Atom USD. Sure. Basically, and this is one that I've been following personally. So we have this area here that's interesting as resistance, right? Tried to poke the head above, couldn't manage to, because Bitcoin was just kind of not ready to go. And now we have, like, we're in the area of support, right? It's been bouncing on this, which is cool, but it's not enough. If you think Bitcoin is going to hold, and if you think the entire market is going to hold, it's at support right now. 10 to 12, that area is the nearest support, right? So if you want to make a play, if you're like this duck doesn't trust the support that's been tested 10 times, but I will, and I mean reasonable. I think could bounce 1 or 2 times more. But if you're like that, I think anything in this area, if you're right, is going to be okay. So basically like a trade somewhere, something in there, it's okay. I'm personally just, like I said, not too interested in any altcoins, because I could see the altcoin Bitcoin pairs just vanish the moment Bitcoin breaks out. And if Bitcoin goes sideways, and it has been, right? Look at this. Bitcoin's been sideways for, let's see, a month, right? Let's look at Atom, BTC. So sideways led to, basically when you look back a month, right? Bitcoin sideways led to a decrease of 13% on Atom. Now we can go and look at ETH BTC. Bitcoin went sideways. ETH BTC lost like a little bit, not too much. XRP actually went up, I think. If you go back 30 days, XRP is like one of the outliers. But most of the stuff against Bitcoin, right, has not been performing, even though Bitcoin went sideways. So if it goes up strongly, there's somewhat of an argument to be made that maybe the Bitcoin pairs will squeeze a little, but usually when Bitcoin goes like this, the altcoin pairs go up like this, completely whip it, walk back, and then dump. So if Bitcoin breaks out and shows some strength for some reason, that's probably the altcoin Bitcoin pair that you're gonna be trading, which is at some point you're gonna be like, holy shit, I'm up so much. Then it nukes and you're like, what the fuck? How am I break even on this position? And then it goes up a little, you're like, oh yes. And then it just dumps on your ass. That's usually how it goes. So that's when it goes up. And if it goes down, there's just gonna be a straight down move on the altcoin Bitcoin pairs. So that's why I'm just a little bit on the defensive side of things. I have strong opinions, or I voice strong opinions, but honestly, this chart, it's a chart at support, and the support looks like shit. It's the same for ETH, it's the same for a lot of the other things. It's the same with S&P. It bounced from monthly support into monthly resistance. Like all of this shit is very inconclusive. S&P at resistance, Bitcoin and ETH at support. Like I might be or sound very, very strong in my opinion, but I couldn't care enough really. Like I don't think there's a trade basically. That's the one thing that I'm very certain and very adamant about. There's no trade, and I'm just not gonna trade when I don't think there's a trade. Even if it goes up, even if it goes down, I just want to see how this develops. So give it a few days, especially given this monthly close. I think at that point there's gonna be something interesting. Then I will be still streaming during my time in Asia. So maybe I'll have something for you guys. I'll just not be able to trade it myself. So yeah, that's that. I think we've talked enough. I'm super tired. I had a very, very long day. Been chilling with Cred, then went bouldering, then went on a wild car ride on the way back home just to make it for this. Didn't quite manage to, but almost. Cut off more than 1 hour of the GPS's time, which is kind of nice, on the way back home. And yeah, now I just want to go to bed basically. But yeah, appreciate you guys coming by. Big shout out to the sponsor as well, which is FTX. Their links are in the description. Go check them out. They're cool. And yeah, I'll be around on Twitter in the next few days. Got a really busy rest of the week, so probably a little bit less than I have been. But yeah, still gonna do a Friday video with Cred, and then we'll see what we do for the rest of it. So yeah, love you guys. Appreciate you coming by, even when we've not moved from 19.2K for the last 10 years. And even while I'm kind of shit talking the market a lot, hopefully that's the bottom talk. I'm down for it if it is. I just want it to finally fucking do something. But yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out, and we'll see each other soon. Bye bye.